Hi, students. I want to talk about Adam Bede for just a short little minute. But first, I want to comment on something that came up this past week as I was reading your homework and your discussion. And that was that many of you are very devout believers, and it was hard for you to read about the crisis of faith in the Victorian period. Now, on the other hand, some of you have left faith go a long time ago and were irritated to have to read a book that was full of religious talk. So I just want to acknowledge that I'm aware of that. And, uh, we're in a class that's looking at feelings and we're focused on the 19th century and on a very important historical process that occurred then. And I will be very attentive to how you're feeling as we move along here. But I want to talk for a minute about George Eliot's affect theory because I think it's very important to note to you that in books 2, chapter 17 is a very, very famous chapter in George Eliot studies and Victorian studies, where she stops the reader there and she says, let's talk about feelings for a minute. Let's talk about why I've chosen the characters that I want to talk with you about, that I want to show. And in the past, you as the reader have expected to be involved with great lives, with epic lives. But now we're in the modern period, to them, the Victorian period. And now our period is not one of gold, it's more one of iron, steel, and we're moving into democracy. And so therefore, it's important to focus on your average Joe, as it were. And so she says, yes, thank God, human feeling is like the mighty rivers that bless the earth. It does not wait for beauty. It flows with resistless force and brings beauty with it. This is her theory, her affect theory, that we shouldn't have to just focus our attentions when we read fiction on the beautiful heroine and the handsome hero finding their love for each other. They're the lucky ones. She's saying our hearts are so strong with love that we need to put that love out into the universe to the lowly and the sad. That there are far more coarse and lowly people than there are the beautiful. And she says further in that chapter, it is more needful that I should have a fiber of sympathy connecting me with the vulgar citizen than with the good-looking citizen. And she goes further and says, basically the chapter is setting aside religion in a time of the crisis of faith. And she's saying, okay, there is a crisis of faith. Let's just set religion aside and let's talk about your feelings and the religion of the heart, the religion of humanity. We are the greatest human beings are the greatest possibility for love and kindness in the world. And we should give that love out to others. And basically, that's her affect theory. And she says further at the end of that chapter in her affect theory, I have come to the conclusion that human nature is lovable. The way I have learnt something of its deep pathos, its sublime mysteries, has been by living a great deal among people more or less commonplace and vulgar. And so this is George Eliot's affect theory. And in order to illustrate it, she will then talk in book 4, chapter 27, another famous chapter entitled The Crisis. And at this moment, there is an epiphany where Adam is, and he is to be viewed as symbolic of Adam and Eve. He's the first man on earth. He's walking in the woods. He's innocent. He only really knows innocence in his life in terms of passion and love. And what does he see but Hetty, the woman he's engaged to marry, in the arms of Arthur, the man that he has held up as an example of what the upper class should be. And at this moment, also, it's a change. It's a life change, not only for Adam but for Arthur as well, because it says he stood face to face with the first great irrevocable evil he had ever committed. This is about Arthur. And Adam acts as a kind of uh, emotional force of rage against the evil that Arthur is committing, as though it is nothing. And this is one of the things that Adam is so frustrated about and so angry about, is that Arthur could just step into this young woman's life, this lower class woman's life, and give her hope that she could be upper class. And says, and you have made her love you. And this is where you need to be attentive to the affect theory that George Eliot is proposing. That our own feelings, she's kind of saying that our own feelings are an imposition on the world, a kind of aggression on the world and on others, and that we need to take care that we do not hurt those around us, that we are sensitive to their needs as well. And I want to prepare you with these two very important chapters for the ultimate tragedy in this book, that is that because Arthur has been so lackadaisical and acting like his exploitation of this young woman is nothing, it makes no difference in the world, this will lead on to the tragic consequences of Hetty becoming pregnant and killing her child, and which will create a great deal of feeling in this novel, and which will test George Eliot's affect theory, as well as our own ability to live up to our own ideals about affect.